My dad taught me how to read a road map at a very early age. It was a game we used to play. In fact, if we were taking a long trip or going on vacation, he'd often throw the map into the back seat with me and said, "Be my navigator." And I would call out route numbers and follow along the trip. And so when I learned how to drive, it was like second nature to haul out the map before I went somewhere, to look at route numbers and plot my journey. And that worked fairly well. It didn't work real well in the countryside where street signs weren't available or route numbers. It didn't work very well in the city where street signs went by at rapid pace. But, you know, you get lost, you ask for directions, you get turned around, you make it. But then came the age of computers and that wonderful thing called MapQuest that would plot out your trip down to the last detail with little diagrams for each of the sections of the journey. I would print those out, carry them on the passenger seat, and make some rough notes and tape them to the visor. And off I would go. Again, it worked pretty well most of the time, but occasionally it got me turned around. But then came GPS, the Global Positioning Service. It would walk you through your journey from beginning to end, giving you updates, prompting you. It was wonderful. Except when you wanted to stop for gas or a meal, or heaven forbid, if you thought you knew a better route. In the old days, it would bark at you, recalculating. These days, at least for me, it simply reminds me, get back to the route. Return to the route. Return to the route. Return to the route. Return to the route now. Can get a little obnoxious. We find in the Gospels that Jesus seems to have a GPS, a sense of where this is all going. It's not real evident to us as readers or even the disciples that were following him. They just seem to wander back and forth. Sometimes it seems aimlessly. And then about halfway through the Gospels, we come to a place called Caesarea Philippi. And things get a little dicey. It starts out fine. Peter makes a bold confession that Jesus is the Messiah, the Son of the Blessed One, the one they've been waiting for, and all is good. But then Jesus lays out the itinerary of what is to come next. Kind of mini GPS. They're heading to Jerusalem. He will be arrested, beaten, crucified, and then on the third day, he will rise from the dead. Peter takes exception to this. And we get a hint of Peter's version of what this journey is supposed to be heading toward. And that is a march on Jerusalem to overthrow the government and restore Judah to its glory days. And if they're not ready yet, if indeed the chances of Jesus dying there and them dying there, then let's not go there. Let's go back to Galilee, hang out for a while up in the North Country. Nobody will pay any attention to us. We can raise an army, and when we're strong enough, we can take him. And Jesus' response is, return to the route. Get behind me, Satan, you tempter. And off they go. And it is indeed as Jesus says. He is arrested, beaten, crucified, and on the third day he rises again. And in so doing, he gives us a bit of a GPS, a God positioning service. When we get lost and confused, we only need to look to him to remember where to go. It is in that rhythm of dying and rising that we find life. Luther talked about it in terms of dying and rising daily, of letting go of all the old hurts and pains, the betrayals, the crazy stuff we did, the mistakes we made, the scripts that play in our heads that tell us how bad we are and how messed up, the relationships that have gone awry, all that stuff. That each new day becomes a gift of God, to let it go and to enter into a brand new day of God's grace. A day of new life, of new hopes, new dreams, new possibilities. So flip your GPS on. For this is the day that God has made. Let us rejoice and be glad. Pleasant journeys.